Yeah, hi. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen. So I saw the 9 Lives of Vince McMahon documentary. So here's my little review and to talk about it. Let's just say the fucking documentary was basically a compilation. It was like a compilation, like you know how compilations of like the best of things, like let's say best of chair shots from WWE. You know the best chair shots in the video. It's basically like that. Basically, the fucking documentary was basically about Vince McMahon. I obviously it is about Vince McMahon, but they basically took parts of each dark side of the ring involving Vince McMahon, and it's like the last 20 minutes was only new information. So if anything, it's like basically like a waste of time almost. That we've known this shit all before, like shit we've seen before. It's just they combine it and then we'll just add in some new information in the last fucking 20 minutes based on what happened this year with the McMahon accusations. That's basically what it was. And obviously, you know, it's all the defame Vince McMahon and shit like that. Good thing I didn't do this video yet. I'm recording this video right after my SmackDown review, or SmackDown AEW review from the fucking 12/17/2022. There's wrestlers that declined to be a part of this, or people who are on personalities. One of them was Chris Jericho. I think the other was even Chavo, Bryan Danielson, who else? There are wrestlers, CM Punk even. People who, like, and what does that tell you? Like, people who declined, or even Jim Ross declined, didn't want to be part, but apparently, like, apparently the people, so this was made by people who are involved with Dark Side of the Ring, or whatever, and they kept, like, even despite, like, not wanting to be a part of it, they kept, like, some clips, like, so, like, let's say the Monster Screwjob involving Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. So, yeah, like, if you just, like, it just go to show, like, what does that tell you? Like, maybe, like, you know, they just think this is a bunch of horse shit. Even CM Punk probably thinks it's a bunch of horse shit, you know, about this whole fucking, you know, this whole shit about fucking, you know, that's, like, Dark Side of the Ring with Vince McMahon or whatever. But, anyhow, so Vince Russo was part of this. And, again, I like Vince Russo. And I think with Vince Russo, he was the only guy in the wrestling business to actually know what the fuck he was talking about, because he actually was in part of the fucking business, and he worked with McMahon for years. He knows who McMahon is. Then you got these people, you got Dave Meltzer, you got, basically, again, they acted like, again, they had Dave Meltzer, Wade Keller, Brian Alvarez, all these fucking smarky people that they think they know everything about the business were a part of it, just saying stupid shit, you know, because, like, you know, Vince McMahon, you know, he was a promoter, you know, promoter a lifetime, but, you know, it was very bad. Basically, this was just an attempt to try to make McMahon look bad, and it's like, you know, it's like, what do you expect with these people? What do you expect? So the documentary mentions how McMahon had abusive parents, like he had so it did, of course, educate me a little bit in terms of what I didn't know. Apparently, you know, again, like, he was away from his father, his biological father, Vincent K. McMahon. But he was, like, raised by his mother. I thought he loved his mother, right? Didn't he love his mother, apparently? Didn't McMahon love his mother, that he wished that he'll be living up until the same age? But, you know, his mother was evil, apparently abused him. What? So, if anything, this is kind of a bunch of horse shit, if thinking about it. They also mentioned how apparently McMahon was abused by his stepfather. I don't know, but apparently, guess what, guys? Guess what? Because of this is probably why McMahon became rootless. Because of that, that's why he became rootless. So this is an attempt to make McMahon look like he's a rootless guy. That why he's evil and whatever. Evil man, bad. Say that this documentary had Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, basically all these journalists who were not part of the business, acting like they're fucking. The only people I really liked were, like, the wrestling historian guy, but it's like, you gotta take what he said with a grain of salt, because you could probably come off as a little smarky too, but whatever. So they mentioned that. They mentioned, like basically past documentaries also. It was like a compilation, really. They mentioned the Dave Schultz thing. It's McMahon's fault that John Schultz or whatever got hurt or whatever. The interviewer, right? Oh, the Jimmy Snuka scandal. It's his fault that, McMahon covered it up. He didn't want to do anything with Jimmy Snuka because he wanted it because that was his biggest draw at the time. Yeah, maybe he probably didn't even know that it was a thing. Whatever. They mentioned the steroid trial. Obviously, this was the big thing. They mentioned the steroid trial because, McMahon evil. He forced steroids. And he wearing neck brace because, he was just being egotistical, trying to gain sympathy. In reality, he had, actual neck surgery. You dumb motherfuckers. They didn't mention that. They didn't mention that he got natural neck surgery. They mentioned the whole McMahon accusation with the referee, but there was it was proven there was not enough evidence. But but that could be lead to what's going on. They mentioned how after Hogan left WWE, they wanted Bret Hart. They mentioned how Old Man got out of trouble because of steroid trial. Then they mentioned the Attitude Era Monday Night Wars. So yeah, they mentioned the Attitude Era Monday Night Wars. So they basically gave a little history here and there. But a lot of these things they are mentioning, they're trying to make it seem like McMahon is a negative light. So they mentioned the Attitude Era, the Monday Night Wars, but they're trying to make it seem like McMahon was bad for the Attitude Era. McMahon was evil for making the Attitude Era what it was. Apparently because, he made the women, he meant, they mentioned women's wrestling, they made edgy television, which highlight, they made it seem like having edgy television was bad. Even though these people, these fucking journalists, who even say that Raw sucks, that it lacks edginess, but it was evil because, it was too edgy. What are you dumb motherfuckers talking about? This is why you can't take guys like Meltzer seriously. I know you fucking people that support him, you guys are fucking cocksuckers. Why listen to these people when they've never been part of the business? Why? Fucking people, man. I swear to God. Yeah, so apparently, the way he portrayed women, that draw me. But it's a problem, guys. It's evil. Even the women, they want to do and shit like that. They go ahead and say no. McMahon buying the WCW, that was evil. That was to show him as being, he's like, it's like, he's like, I don't know. So yeah, they mention how Vince buy out, and then the narrator says Vince will learn buying out only works till someone talk. Oh wait, no, that was something different. Yeah, the reporter's tone, from this basically, he says I'm trying to mention something. I'm trying I took a lot of notes actually. What was it? Sorry. Basically, all you need to know is it'll come back to haunt him or whatever. Basically, make it seem like he's very egotistical, guys. He's very egotistical for buying WCW. Why? How is that a problem buying his own competition? Maybe he wanted to. Is that really big of a deal? How is that different than any other company that buys their own competition? That's what happens in fucking life. That's what happens with businesses. You fucking dumb motherfuckers. I swear to God. They don't know shit what they're talking about. So yeah, the fucking... Yeah, basically, the tone of the narrator, always, kind of sounds sarcastic. McMahon evil or whatever, It's gonna learn that, paying someone off is only gonna be work when someone talks or whatever. Yeah, they mentioned also, Owen Hart, Blue Blazer, they said, it was bad for the show going on, even though, show must go on. You have to understand, I understand the whole controversy, it's, this obviously, you never know what's right or wrong with it, because, again, it happened. You have to understand, again, this will make people, many people angry at home, because they bought the pay-per-view. They will make many people in the fucking crowd very angry, for, buying a ticket. Again, the show must go on. This happens in showbiz all the time. don't get me wrong, rest in peace, Owen Hart. But you have to understand that, first, like, the show must go on. When you're an entertainer, something happens, the show must go on. You gotta keep the show going. It's all part of show business. It's all part of, like, in theater. Like, for example, like, I was in theater, and a person, for example, I'll tell you a true story. A person got hurt. One of the main, one person I worked in a theater show, for college. One person got hurt, who was like one of the main stars of the show. She got hurt, but the show had to go on, right? The show had to go on no matter what. You gotta keep going. That's what happens to showbiz people, whether unfortunately someone passes away or not. Even though, sure, like a crime scene or whatever, but like at least they immediately did something. But again, the main thing, they got Owen Hart to the hospital, which unfortunately, yeah, the guy passed away. But just, you have to understand, like, the show goes on. And plus, Owen Hart was a wrestler. He was apparently one of those examples, like, the show must go on too. Like, you have to understand, like, there's even people like that would probably believe, like, even if they die, they're like, you know what? No, the show must go on, man. You know, I wanted the show to go on. Like, they always mention this all the time. Guys like Eddie Guerrero, when they died, they didn't want the fucking show to not happen. They want the show to happen and, like, but it honoring their memory. You know what I mean? And they always mention how Eddie would want that. You know, when guys like Eddie Guerrero died, they would think of, like, to cancel the show, but that they kept the show going because, you know, yeah, like, you know, they wanted the show to keep going on. Obviously, this is, I get it, like, it does sound a bit, this thing is, there's no real right answer. What can you do? What happened, but the reality is it was an accident. And they always like they want to make this now, oh, McMahon is a problem, McMahon bad guy, you know, because, oh, he apparently wanted to kill, didn't care about Owen Hart. That's what they're saying, and they don't know shit. They mentioned how McMahon, they said, like, oh, McMahon bad for talking about the reporter having a bad tone. Like, I'm sorry, she had a bad tone. She had a bad tone. What do you want me to say? All these fucking people have bad tones. Have you not watched the news? Fucking A, they're trying to fucking make people look bad, man. They mentioned the playwright from hell, you know, oh, it's McMahon's fault for not caring for the wrestlers. Even though, how is that his fault when he's, like, in a private, whatever. Apparently, you know, oh, he wasn't caring for the, you know, the safety or whatever. Like, shut up. Fucking, apparently McMahon was beloved. Like, come on, he was riding with them. He was, like, wrestling Kurt Angle. They didn't mention that shit. They want to mention all the bad shit and make it seem like it's McMahon's fault. Like, get the fuck out of here. They mentioned how, you know, McMahon buys them out, how McMahon buys them off, like, the trouble. The narrator says he will soon learn buying them off only works until someone talks. So basically, you know, sometimes, like, it could be false accusations, but, you know, if they don't get, I guess, enough or whatever, they're gonna report no matter what or whatever. They're making it seem like, you know, all these accusations, like, might be true or whatever. Yeah, we didn't know. They mentioned the tanning salon scandal, mentioned how in 2006, but never amounted to anything. And then, oh, it's a problem, McMahon. And they mentioned how it's a problem having McMahon with a women's storyline. How could a boss be with the women? I mean, maybe, like, it was okay with the women. I don't know. Don't you think, like, it was okay with them? Like, and plus, like, for God's sakes, it was like, you know, it's fucking a TV show. You understand that, right? And to help fucking people hate McMahon. I don't know what to tell you. It's fucking wrestling, people. It's a TV show. They mentioned how, you know, when Eddie Guerrero died and Benoit died out, it's their fault they're dead because he never cared about them. And, like, for example, and how it's a problem how he didn't treat them with respect or didn't care for the wrestlers, like Eddie Guerrero apparently, like, oh, it's his fault that it's bad for him making Orton said Eddie's in hell. Yeah, it's a TV show. If anything, Eddie would probably have liked that. Like, it goes back to the old school wrestling shit, using a death as a storyline. It's wrestling 101. They mentioned how Benoit, like, oh, McMahon didn't care about his wrestlers, and it's his fault that McMahon killed his wife and kid. Like, what the fuck? How is this true? And then, like, you know, they want to mention how, you know, McMahon fault, you know, McMahon bad guy. You know, he mentioned that Benoit was the greatest of all time, but he killed his, like, what do you guys want? He didn't know that the fucking guy killed his wife and kid. He didn't know. But he bad. He evil. They mentioned how McMahon is at fault for wrestlers having CTE. Like, I'm sorry that all these wrestlers are dumb for taking chair shots without protecting. You have to understand, a lot of these wrestlers did not, like, you have to understand, there's people who back in the day took protected chair shots, and there's a reason why they did that. A lot of these wrestlers did not take unprotected chair shots, and they're dumb for that. I hate to say it, but a lot of these wrestlers were not smart enough to protect themselves. This is the problem. Then I blame these wrestlers for not why we can't have chair shots. I understand, in a way, as much as I miss chair shots to the head, but again, I'm only in favor, if you're going to do a chair shot, it should be protected. Obviously, I would love to see chair shots to the head, but again, protected only. But like, it's because of those wrestlers' fault why we don't see chair shots to the head, like or not, because they refuse to protect themselves. That's why. Because all these wrestlers, what they take the chair shots, they protect themselves, and that's why fucking all these wrestlers have to pay for, like, we can't see chair shots in the head anymore. And that's why they're at fault their own CT, really. You know? It all goes with choreography, but, you know, it's like the risk you're willing to take, too. But again, sure, it's just they didn't know. Again, they didn't know the long-term effects. So what do you want? Like, how is it their fault? They mention how WWE is going Wall Street, saying great power, but with great power comes great responsibility. So they go Spider-Man, but it's like they're acting like, you know, McMahon's egotistical. Like, shut the fuck up. You know, oh, he buys WCW, he's egotistical. Like, how is that a problem? They mention but they do also mention the criticism. They do mention the criticism about WWE, like how WWE cares about ads, about no longer being edgy, becoming PG. So, like, they complain about WWE being edgy, you know, being what they were, but then they complain. Like, it's like this documentary was bipolar as all hell. They were complaining how McMahon was always being edgy, treating the women the way they were. Oh, the wrestlers were the way they were. But, oh, you know, the criticism about WWE being edgy, you know, or they're no longer being edgy. It hurt their shows. Nobody watch wrestling anymore. They decline. And how could I forget? They showed the wrestling otaku. I'm just thinking to myself, it must be some fat smart. Showcase the wrestling otaku. Well, good for otaku, I guess. You know, like, why would you showcase and give this guy something to, like, it just gonna make people, like, look at this guy like, what a fucking weirdo this guy is. Unless it's probably for laughs. Like, unless it's for laughs, like, it's just to show, like, how this is the modern WWE audience or the modern wrestling fan. But it's like, they're acting like this guy is so knowledgeable. They're acting like this guy, you know, we should listen to this guy as criticizing WWE, man. Really? Wrestling otaku? I mean, it's probably because, again, the guy's fat and shit like that. But again, like, acting like this guy. Well, hey, good for you, otaku, I guess. It's kind of funny. It is pretty funny knowing that he's on the documentary. But it's like, you know, he's saying that WWE sucks. Which, I mean, again, the WWE does suck. But it's like, the shit like otaku saying, oh, why it sucks, and, oh, you know, AEW better, blah, 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 and then, you know, like, you know, part-timers suck. Like, what otaku, he's basically the typical smart would say, you know what, WWE gotta do good better? Gotta be more indie wrestling and blah, blah, blah. It's gotta be, you know, work rate and shit, you know? We have to listen to those guys? Well, how about actually listen to people that fucking like the Smart Busters and shit? Come on. So yeah, the documentary, they mentioned how, like, guys like Meltzer and whatever, like, wow, well, so, you know, they complain about WWE edgy, blah, blah, blah. It's like, they're bipolar. They talk about how, you know, oh, you know, WWE no longer has Vince McMahon become lazy and not entertaining, how the fans are, satisfaction is low, you know, morale is low, whatever, and then freaking, oh, but, you know, Vince McMahon only care about the money, which they mentioned. Obviously, it's true. McMahon does care about money, but he's a businessman. What can you do? You know, it is what it is. Vince Russo was there. He also was pointing that out, which the only guy who actually spoke with some sort of sense. He actually knew what the fuck he was talking about because he actually was part of the business. But yeah, that happened. But yeah, so that they were talking about that, but then they finally talked about 2022 with the whole, you know, money scandal, the hush money scandal, where like, oh, you know, McMahon, like, you know, they talk about how he struts, you know, you know, the money is shadow, you know, oh, he dating his coworkers, even though it was consent, it was consent that him dating his coworkers, he was already, he cheated on his wife. Okay, yeah, don't get me wrong, I'm not condoning cheating, but it's like apparently they were already separated anyways. They were already separated, and they were only together business wise. And then like Vince McMahon, that's why Vince McMahon was actually like dating other people. Even like I think that's kind of sad. Like wow, they're not together, but like they're still married. It's kind of weird. But it's like wow, like what's that time? I don't know. But in the end of the day, like people act like it's not consensual. Like apparently, how is it like? Oh, we don't know. We don't know. But the thing is, apparently it was consensual. But like the reason why he gave the money is to keep them from not knowing, like people not knowing about his personal life. That's why. But oh, you know, he used the money of the. It's his business, you motherfuckers. Who cares? But you know, oh, it's karma, guys. Karma, a bitch and shit like that, man. You know, you're publicly traded company. Karma, a bitch. You know, blah blah blah. They mentioned how he retires and blah blah blah, and then and then they mentioned after McMahon left, it's doing better before. Like Meltzer Alvarez says, it's doing better than before. You know, McMahon, he wanted to rival boxing, wanted to rival movie deals, he wanted to rival NFL, but the only thing the successful was WWE. Like they mentioned XFL, mentioned fucking, boxing. Well, not boxing. I think they mentioned like trying to be compared to Disney and shit like that. And but they keep showing McMahon being sexual with women. Like, why doing that? You act like he's. Acting he's a pervert and shit like that. Like, what's wrong, you people? And then in the end, they say McMahon was a man of money who believed he was untouchable. That was the thing. They thought he was basically Harvey Weinstein or whatever. Like he was a guy who thought he had money, had it all, and he's untouchable. Like they act like this guy was the most horrible, evil human being because he was with women who. He paid to not talk about their personal life because he doesn't want that shit to be out there. You know what I mean? Like, God forbid, he wants to keep shit private. But, well, he used the company's money. Like, we don't know that, whatever. And I don't know. But, again, it's consensual, these women. Like, I don't see how it's a problem. Even Chris Jericho pointed it out, like, how he doesn't see his problem. Oh, because they used the money. Shut up. I don't know. Again, all of this seems like it's anti-McMahon agenda. That's what Meltzer always had. That's what all these people from the Observers have always had that. You can say, well, what about Vince Russo? The thing is, I think there's an actual general reason why Vince Russo. I don't think Vince Russo legit hates Vince McMahon. I just think there's a reason why he's talking about him. It's a guy to give criticism because with Vince Russo, there's in a way he respects Vince, but he's also he sees why he criticized Vince for all the right reasons, because after all, the guy worked for him. So what do you want? But yeah, so that was the documentary. The documentary was just wow. Was it fun to watch? Sure, but it's I'm still wow. My brain was getting irritated because they think they know everything about this man, but they're just presenting him as a bad fucking guy. You think they legit think that Vince McMahon is evil, and it's gonna make all the smarky fans, all the people with these fucking libtards that don't know anything about wrestling, they're gonna act like this guy's who's Vince McMahon? Oh, he's just like Harvey Weinstein? No, he's not. You guys don't know shit about Vince McMahon, people. It's this again. This shit was made by fucking people from Dark Side of the Ring who obviously have an AEW fucking. They're obviously biased to AEW. They're biased to fucking all these fucking stupid wrestlers. They're biased to... Again, how could they not be biased when they're fucking affiliating themselves with Dave Meltzer and all these people, with smarky people, people who have nothing to do with the business, and they're if you see the people who make this shit, they're fucking these fat naked... They're basically wrestling otaku. Holy shit. You're better off watching an otaku documentary talking about this shit than whatever. It'll be no different. Anyways, good for you, wrestling otaku. You went on the fucking documentary. It's funny, but I don't know, I'll be honest with you, man. You only got on it because you're a fucking smarky dude. Overall, fuck Dark Side of the Ring, fuck the people, fuck Vice, fuck these libtards. They're trying to fucking say McMahon evil, but they don't know shit that the fuck they're talking about. Vince Russo's the only guy who legit talk real shit, really. So, I don't know. I just want to say, people, until next time, peace, yeah, bye. Vince McMahon Russo, he's the fucking alpha male, people. Always will be. Non-evil man. Y'all just, like, fucking just saying stupid shit. Again, they're bipolar as fuck, these people.